Welcome to the Fallen State. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you all so much for being with me. You can support The Fallen State by going to TheFallenState.tv and become a member there, right on the YouTube channel, as well as locals.com. And don't forget, get your Punchy's coffee. We have our own coffee, and it is good. Go to jesseleepeterson.shop. I have with me Jamie Date. She's an author, men dating coach, and content creator. Her book is called Becoming Boyfriend Material. Whoa, Becoming Boyfriend Material sounds interesting. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hi, glad to be here, Jesse. Glad to be here.
And happy White History Month. July is White History Month. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Did we need a history month?
We definitely need a White History Month.
Okay, well, we'll take it.
And do you agree that we need one?
I've not thought about that too hard. I think that it's a good practice to put that into context so that people understand the importance of why we should have Black History Month, why we should have other history months. But I'll be honest with you, I've not really thought about that, and I am open to being swayed. I don't know. I guess I don't have a very strong opinion.
If you notice, we have Black History Month, we have Women History Month, we have Gay History Month, Mexican History Month, Asian History Month, Japanese History Month. We have everything but White History Month. And it was white men who founded and created this country, the greatest country on this side of heaven with the help of God. And yet, everybody wants to forget white history, but remember all the other fake history. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that, like I said, I feel as if White History Month, the way that history is very much packaged to us anyway, year round, tends to be White History Month. Because those are the ones that wrote the history books. And so to target 1 month for it, I guess I could see both sides, even though it's quite the postmodernist answer, as to why. What do you think?
But they are erasing white history and replacing it with false history.
False history?
Yeah. They stand out all the statues and monuments of the men who founded the country, white men, and they're rewriting history book and call the white people bad people, slave owners, and all that mess. And if we don't have a month to remind each generation to come and those in the past that white people founded the country and it was amazing, how would they remember that it was white people who founded the greatest country on the planet?
Do you believe that people are forgetting that white people founded America?
Absolutely.
Huh.
And if they do mention it, they call them all these horrible names.
Like what?
Slave owners, racists, Hitler. They call them everything but children of God.
Oh. But were they not slave owners?
A few were, but there was as many black people slave owners as white people were in those days.
Were the black slave owners, did they start the country?
No.
So then the white people that did start the country that were also slave owners would be called slave owners and also
But they say it like it's a bad thing. What's wrong with owning a slave?
Oh my goodness, so many things.
Do you love white people?
The only slave I'm interested in owning is artificial ones.
Amazing. Do you love white people?
Do I know white people? I am a white people.
No, do you love white people?
I love certain white people, for sure.
So,
I love people, period.
how about white people?
I don't love all white people.
But do you love
I don't
white
love,
people?
I don't love all people. I
Right.
love most people, but also I don't know most people, so it's
Right.
hard for
But
me to.
so you do love white people though, right?
Yeah. I
Amazing.
mean,
Well,
on a
happy White
general,
History Month. Doesn't July just feels white?
it feels like a hot dog and a firework, I'll tell you
Right
that.
on. Nice. Where are you from?
I was born in Florida, but LA raised me, I should say.
So you're in LA right now?
No, I'm actually in Santa Cruz right now.
Oh, I see.
I'm typically based right now in Austin, Texas. I actually just moved there.
And the reason
But
I ask because I hear southern train.
no, I'm actually. So my mom is Long Island Jew.
I
My
love the Jews.
There we go. And my dad is Southern. Grew up in Orlando, but originally their family's from Virginia,
Amazing.
Stafford. Yeah. And so I get a little bit of both, right?
Right on. And so are you Jewish?
Jewish, right?
Right.
We celebrate the holidays, but that's about the extent of it.
But you're not are you a Christian?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I want to talk to you about your book and what you do and all that. You
Good.
you are men dating coach.
I am. I am a men's dating coach.
Tell me what that about. How did you become men a dating coach?
I might be dating myself here, Jesse, but it all began with Craigslist, actually. It's the
Wow.
short answer of it. So when I was about 25, I'm 35 now. So when I was about 25, I had just quit my door-to-door sales job selling solar panels in Southern California. So if you lived in Southern California during the years of 2012 to 2015-ish, I probably knocked on your door. And what is, approaching if not going door to door? So I had to learn people very quickly
Right.
and very well if I was going to be successful with it. And so when I quit, I had some money saved up and, I went on Craigslist to kind of peruse gig work because, I just didn't really know where I wanted to go after. And it was, a advertisement. Hey, come, we'll pay you $100, free booze, come to this party, talk to these guys, let us know how they do. And because I had the sales training background, I believe, it kind of gave me a leg up to where I was able to really give feedback to these men in real time that was a little bit more specific, useful than the average woman that also attended and did the same thing I did.
Amazing.
And so they asked me if I wanted to join their company, and I did. I would be the girl that these men would practice on. I'd give them real-time feedback. One thing led to another. I started my own company a few years ago, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's amazing. Are you surprised that men will listen to a woman about dating?
It's funny that you asked that. I love that you asked that, Jesse. I think it says a lot about a person where they go to get their advice. I'm under the camp of good advice is good advice. It doesn't really matter what gender it comes from, as good advice can come from some gender and really bad advice can come from some gender, right? It's not really gender specific. It's almost like a therapist. Does someone go to a male therapist or female therapist? I think it tells a lot about a person. But I think that, there's definitely a group of men, a large group of men out there that specifically only want advice coming from a woman, from the woman's mouth. Just like there's lots of men that gravitate towards male dating coaches. And like I said, good advice is good advice. So, I mean, if you find someone that you actually jive with, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter where it's coming from.
And so were you surprised that men would listen to a woman about, that a man, when you first started out, were you surprised that men would listen to a woman about dating or anything like that?
No, not necessarily.
You were not
really
surprised by that?
surprised. No, because I mean, the way that I look at it is this. There are lots of women dating coaches that I think give terrible advice. Just
Right.
like I think there's a lot of male dating coaches that also give terrible advice, and vice versa, What I have found though is it would be a very silly thought to think, how many people are on this planet, Jesse? Would you say? What is it, 6 billion? I don't know if it's raised since then.
Yeah, somewhere in there I hear, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what, 3 billion are women? So to have the thought that 3 billion women, not one in there has the thought to be, you know what? I see what these men are doing and I think I can help them out here. Not one of us can have that thought. That seems a little silly of a thought, in my opinion. So I'd like to think I'm one of those women that can.
Women judge men when they find, or when men tell them their problems, and when they see that men are weak. They judge men. How are you able not to judge these men knowing that they're weak like that for telling you their issues?
I'm going to quote, do you know the work of Brene Brown?
No.
Do you know who Brene Brown is? Oh, she's an amazing...
I have no idea. Do I know Brene Brown? No, I have no idea.
She's a great speaker. She's been on a bunch of podcasts, wrote a ton of books. She speaks a lot about blame, shame, guilt, trauma, things like that.
Right.
And I'm going to paraphrase her here, but she says that when a woman is able to hold a man while he is crying, while he is showing vulnerability, and hold him and be with him, that's a woman that's done a lot of work on herself. And I think that over the last 10, 20, 30 years, women have really had a renaissance. Women have had to band together, learn, grow, because if we were going to make it in this world off our own dime, we had to. We had to learn, we had to grow, we had to go through this type of work to get to where we want to be. And you and I both know that the world is cyclical, and now it's men's turn. Men are struggling. Men are going through these things. Yeah. And if I can be just one woman to help hold these men and strengthen them and be there for them and with them, then that's going to set them up for success. And I want to see everyone in my circle succeed. That's my goal in life.
And so women do judge men for their weakness, and that's why men should not tell women their weakness. How do you avoid judging them? When you hear their weakness, they're crying to you rather than you telling them your issues. How do you avoid judging them knowing that they're weak?
So the way that you love without judgment, Jesse, is curiosity. The way you love without judgment is curiosity. You become curious.
Meaning what?
Why are they acting this?
Oh, okay.
Why are they saying these things? I'm curious about this. And that comes from a place of compassion and empathy that, again, spans from doing the work yourself. Now, when you say, I judge men for when they are showing weakness, I don't know what you mean. Because again, I don't judge people because I've learned in my own journey that the minute I feel as if I'm judging, I have now had neuroplasticity take over and immediately switched over to curiosity. And it has allowed me to empathize and understand and then actually gain knowledge through that process. So I think to answer your question the best that I can, I'm going to say this, is when somebody, man or woman, complains for the sake of complaining, and they are problem finders instead of problem solvers, that's maybe when the closest I get to judgment. Because at that point, I can sit with you, I can be with you, I can meet you where you're at, and I can help you through it. But if you are constantly clinging on to staying stuck in your problem because your cognitive bias needs you to stay there because then you don't have to change, then that becomes a little bit of a irritation, maybe a little bit of an annoyance, maybe, because then we just stay stuck. And I don't like staying stuck, Jesse. I don't know about you, but I don't like staying stuck.
And so would you ever date or marry a man that would tell you his problems?
I'm dating one right now. Yes, absolutely.
You dated
actually, a few nights ago, something in his life happened that set him back financially a little bit. And, well, not even a little bit, a lot of it. And he cried to me, and I held him. And I
Whoa.
said, listen, we're gonna get through this. And there are women out there that are able to do that.
And so when you were holding him while he was crying, were you kind of thinking, what a beta?
Nope. Nope. Because the reality is that I've seen the other side. Unfortunately, in this country, we do a terrible job at teaching men that the only feeling they're allowed to show is anger. So I've seen the other side where they don't cry, they bury it, and then all of a sudden there's about 3, 4 holes punched in the wall. I don't like that. I choose crying over punching holes in wall any day.
Amazing.
I don't know about you.
And do you tell him, your boyfriend, your problems? You cry on his shoulders?
Yep. Because that's partnership.
So you do cry on his shoulders.
And here's the difference, because I think I know where you're getting with this. There is a time and a place, right? If it was the first date and he's trauma dumping and he's crying and then I'm like, okay, I haven't earned that side of him yet. And therefore it's uncalibrated. He's not reading the room correctly. And now I feel, maybe unsafe is not the word, but used or used as a therapist and not as a date, right? I think sometimes men, because unfortunately, again, in this country, we've learned that the only people men feel safe to express their feelings to is either nobody or women, because men very rarely exchange emotional exchanges with men on a deeper level. So the only place they have to go is their primary partner. And if they're not doing that, they might rush into getting into that type of relationship with a new love because they're so thirsty for that deep connection when that's not earned yet. But, you know, my boyfriend and I, we have been together. We you know, the what's it called? The time and the place has come because of the experience and the working together and the partnership that we are building.
You
Does that make sense?
do you obey him?
I don't know what you mean by when you say that.
Do
What do you
you
mean?
do you obey? Women were created to obey their husbands and
According to
boyfriends.
what?
Do you do you do you obey
According to
him
according to what?
according to the truth?
The truth.
Yeah.
What is the truth? The truth is,
But first, do you obey him?
again, I don't know what you're talking about. Obey him what? When he says jump, I say how high?
So you don't even know what it means to obey your husband?
No. Can you give me an example?
God created men to be the head of the woman and to be the light of the family, to be the head of the woman. And when the man is not the light of the family, the woman can't see her way to go. And so her job is to love him and obey him. Have you ever heard that before from God or your family, your parents, or anyone?
Of course, I've heard this narrative before, but in my experience, the most successful relationships I have witnessed, my parents being one of them, one person does not obey. It is a partnership, and sometimes one person is at the helm and the other person is first mating, and sometimes that responsibility shifts because again, the world is cyclical. And to have one person stay in one role the whole time, that's a tremendous amount of pressure that I would not wish on anyone.
But it's not pressure for a man because he's built that way. He was created to be the leader, so there's no pressure for him. And yes, you're right, it would be pressure for the woman to try to lead the man because it's not in her nature. So it would stress her out. It would really bring a lot of emotional pain for her because she's not in her natural role as a woman. Do you agree with that?
No, because I don't, when you say it was created and it is the truth, I don't know what you mean. I'm assuming you mean the Bible told you that, taught you that?
I mean, God created that. Do you believe in God?
I believe in a source, I believe in a spirit, but I think the personification of God has gotten a little out of hand.
So I'm black and slow. Do you believe in God? I don't know what that means, what you just said. Do you believe in God?
I believe in God. I believe in a very different way than a lot of people believe in God.
Oh, okay. Amazing. So when you talk about, so I'm assuming you're saying no, you would never obey your husband.
No, no, I don't live in a world of black and white. There's never always or never. There's always a spectrum. I believe when he is leading in the correct way, I am happy to follow. But when I see him steering or when I see him growing weak in that moment or when I see him he needs to take a break, I'm happy to take that helm for a bit because that seems to be real partnership.
And is that based on what you think about it or what he thinks in that moment?
I believe it's what is in the flow of the universe. I believe in reading energy. You see, I might not believe in God, but I believe in energy. And I believe in reading energy and seeing when my partner needs a break and knowing and trusting myself in my ability to read that energy to take the helm in that moment and give it back up when I need a break.
Amazing. And do men, when you're advising men on dating, are they asking you these type of questions? Do they ask you how not to be a beta, how to lead the woman rather than follow her, do they ask you those type of questions?
They don't typically use words like obey. I think being a woman, I automatically weed out men that would think in those terms because I don't think that they would see a woman to begin with.
You say you weed them out?
I think being a woman, it automatically weeds men like that out because they won't really trust a woman's opinion in the first place because in their head we're just followers. So I think I'm lucky in that regard.
So you would not work with a man that see things in the right way, even though he's not able to be that way. You wouldn't work with a man that know that there's a right way to do this. You wouldn't work with him.
Well, I would question the word right. What do you mean by right? Do you mean it's correct?
Yes, he knows that though he's not alpha male, he knows that he should be alpha. He should be leading the woman. He should not be crying to the woman, all that kind of mess. But he knows there's a better way. He just does a right way. He just doesn't know how to do it. Are you saying you would weed him out and not work with him?
No, I'm saying that type of man wouldn't seek me out to begin with. So I don't even need that man.
So you don't have to weed him out because he would never look to you for advice?
He would never come to me to begin with. Thank God.
I got you. What type of advice? what type of advice do men ask you? What's about and what kind of advice do you give out? Give me an example.
Okay. So, all right, well, this is a fun conversation. Okay, so there's a great book called A Billion Wicked Thoughts. And what they've realized is, for so long, a lot of sexuality, right, that was studied in medicine, in psychology, was done on men. Honestly, a lot of medical things when it comes to, research and whatnot was done on men only. That's changing. But regardless, a lot of sexual psychology, a lot of sexual science was done just on men. Because, you guys, beautifully simple, right? You're hard or you're not, right? It's very easy to tell.
Very simple. Women are complicated.
We are complex, correct. And so when it comes...
What's the difference between complex and complicated?
I think in my understanding, complicated has a negative undertone. Complex has a more delicate tone to it. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, it definitely sounds a little nicer.
Yeah, exactly.
But you explained to me about the experiments that's been done on
so
men.
within the last 20, 30 years, we've now been able to really study what turns women on. So now all the science is out. And what they've realized is that the same thing that happens to men in their brains when they watch porn happens to women when we read erotica.
Oh, okay.
Why? And because men are very visual and women are very mental. Why we're so complex, right? So when it comes to the science behind it, now we have mass data. Now we can actually see what women are searching for when it comes to what they're reading on erotica, right? And what they've found is that with women, when you actually read, of course, me, when I read this book, can you imagine? I'm like, this is crazy. I immediately go and check myself out my first erotica book because I wanted to see if it was right. Sure enough, it was.
Amazing.
I'm like, no wonder so many men are addicted to porn. This is great. And what I realized is that when it comes to women, when you're reading these erotica books, only like 2% of the book is actually a sex scene. So much of the buildup, so much of the tension, so much of the sexuality behind the book of how we absorb as women the sexual energy in these books is the defining of the character. So let me ask you, who is your character? This is how I would design my entire program. Finding out who your character is in your story arc. Because a lot of men think, okay, if men are hunters, what does that make women?
Hunties.
Hunties, right? The prey, right?
Yes.
False. We are gatherers. We are gatherers. We gather information about you. As a man,
That's for sure.
your prey is your mission in life. Your prey is where you are going, right? Just like you saying, you're steering the ship.
Right.
We are gathering information to help you get there because we also want to go where you're going.
So
And
you're saying that.
and with the forces combined, we get there together.
So you're saying that this information that women are gathering about men steering the ship, they'll gather this information so they can follow the man, right?
Well, we want to go where they're going anyway. And what
Right.
we're finding now is women are going to get there regardless. And that's what's happening now is that because we don't need you for your money anymore, we're going there anyway. Now,
But
we
I
don't
noticed,
need you. We don't need you. We want you. And that's honestly how it should be. I shouldn't have to rely on a man financially, or not even financially, because a lot of women want to do that, and a lot of men want to provide, and that's totally okay. Again, choice, option, right? But it also puts me, if we live in just that world where I am solely relying on a man, that creates a tremendous amount of risk. Because and there's another great book called The Value of Others. Well, great book up until the last 2 chapters. I had a challenge with that. But either way, Orion Taraban, great author. Where, he talks about men being captains and women being passengers, right? And while I agree with most of it, of course, there's a little finessing I would change, but regardless, the whole point is that there's a pro and con to each. A man has to do a lot to become a captain. He can't just show up to the sexual marketplace and get passengers, right? You got to metaphorically build a boat, learn how to sail the boat, and chart a route.
let me ask this because of time here. Women don't know what they want. And men who try to give them what they think they want end up going crazy because you can never satisfy a woman because she never knows what she wants. Do you advise men not to give the woman what she wants, but lead her so that she can see what she wants or needs?
If you are constantly with women who don't know what they want, you are going after the wrong woman. Also, you're probably not hearing her because I've never met a woman who didn't know what she wants.
Really?
Correct.
Women don't know.
When you make a woman feel like she has a seat at the table, metaphorically speaking, when she is free to speak her mind, she is now put in a position to understand what she wants. And that's the family that I was raised in. My father made me feel like I had a seat at the table.
Amazing.
And it made me into the person that knows exactly what she wants.
So it sounds like your
therefore,
mother did
able-
not. It sounds like your mother did not obey your father.
Again, I don't know what you mean by obey. I'm
You
sorry.
know what
I
that
don't
means.
I don't know what you mean because when I hear obey, the story that I'm telling myself is my father gives my mother a set of rules and she must follow them. That if that's what you mean, that did not happen in my family, no.
That's amazing. When you advise men, is it just about sex, or do you advise them on other things as well, other than sex?
I think the minority is sex. I think the most part is how one can show up better in the world and therefore better for a partner and what that encompasses.
And
So lifestyle.
so knowing about
Accepting a
sex, all
lifestyle.
about sex, how would that make the relationship better?
Because when you show up for yourself, you can show up better for your partner,
Really?
right?
But life is way much more than sex because sex is just a 5 minute bam, bam, thank you, ma'am, and the man is done. So why would they want to know so much about sex when life is much more than that?
First of all, I feel terrible for the women that you've had sex with.
Why is
If
that?
it's just 5 minutes and five, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. But second of all, I feel like no, I mean, sex is a beautiful part of a relationship, but I think that 90% of what I discuss with these men is how to navigate the world of dating. And that's going to encompass all things relationship, not just sex. Sex is a very small, to your point, very small portion of it.
Yeah, so sex is really just for making babies. So I remember when I made my first son, it was a quick bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. And she was happy, I was happy. And we made a baby and we were happy. And then we had a full life at the time that we had the life together because it was about love and not sex. And you and I will agree that sex is not love, right?
So, did you only have sex with her to procreate and you never had sex with her again unless it was to make a child?
No, I had it with her a whole lot of time without making a baby because of the thrill
Right. So,
that you
so
get
to
from
your
having
point,
sex. Do you agree with me that sex is not love?
I think it can be many things. I
Is it
think sex
love?
can be used as a proxy for many things.
Is
But
it
to your
love?
point, out of the, hundreds of times that you had sex with your woman, only one of those produced a child. So therefore, just by sheer numbers, sex really isn't just for procreating, then is it?
Well, we didn't. I didn't want to make. I had made that baby out of wedlock, and I didn't want to make any
Abs-
children out of wedlock. But I made one, and I didn't want to make any more. We were not married. Is sex love?
Is sex? I think it can be.
Is it
But again,
love?
I think what's happening here, Jesse, is you're falling victim to black and white thinking.
Meaning
Sex
what?
is love or sex is not love, right? And again, the world is full of color. We all are on a spectrum. Sex can be love and sex cannot be love. Two things can exist at the same time.
When I noticed that, even I saw this in myself at one point, that sex for a man is like a drug. It's never enough. So one woman for a man sexually is never enough. He always gonna want a new woman to have sex with because the thrill of having sex with new women is greater than the thrill that you're having with the woman you have because after a while it get old, right? No matter how you do it, the man want that new thrill. And so if sex was love or had anything to do with love, why would he always want a new woman? Because he's never going to be satisfied with that one woman based on
Because
sex.
that man is at that point, this man would be controlled by a dopaminergic system, right? Where he is just after the dopamine chase.
Yeah, because
The pleasure
sex,
pursuit, if
women
you
are
will.
sex dealers and men are sex addicts. So he never get enough of the sex drug.
You love your labels.
Isn't that true though?
Again, I don't live in a world of black and white. Men are all not sex addicts and women are all not sex givers.
Sex
I think
dealers.
those two things can exist. But again, I think that it's a fool's errand to put everyone in those two boxes because, again, the world is much more complex.
Give me an example of other type of advice you give men besides sex.
I mean, oh my goodness. All right. So online dating, right? How to set up an online dating profile, how to, lead a conversation with women, how to navigate creating a lifestyle that actually attracts women based off of our attraction psychology. Honestly, learning how to navigate dating in a modern landscape, right?
Right.
Where women are not as reliant on you for financial gain. What is it that women look for now? And why would two people stay together in a monogamous relationship for fulfillment, right? It's turning that. There's another great book that I encourage you to read, Jesse. It's called The Molecule of More, where they talk about dopamine and how in order to have a long-term relationship where two people do stay monogamous is you must change the dopaminergic to the H and N, here and now molecules, right? Which is really leaning into the working together, right? The oxytocin, the serotonin, these are the chemicals that actually bond. Where, great example, where we have these very deep energetic exchanges where maybe one partner is crying to another. That vulnerability breeds connection. And without that vulnerability, there's no anchor in that relationship. So of course a man would want to seek out something new because he had not invested emotionally into that one girl long enough to want to keep staying with her.
But I
And
noticed
and to your point, you know, we can say the same thing about sugar. I'm going to want brownies and cookies and ice cream and all like a toddler, right? But I know that it's unhealthy for me. So while those treats might taste very sweet, and I'm going to want those because they're new and fresh and delicious, I know on a energetic level that it's unhealthy for me. So I encourage my men who may think like that, hey, listen, yes, you might want new and fresh and amazing. And I've worked with a lot of men that are playboys. And you know what? Every single time, without fail, men who have had tremendous amounts of sex with lots of different women, Jamie, I'm still lonely.
right.
Jamie, it's not scratching that itch.
Yeah.
Jamie, I still, like, something is missing. And it's because you're relying off of dopamine. And dopamine shuts off the minute you get the thing that you wanted.
Well, what happens
Therefore,
is
to make your decisions based off of just dopamine is a fool's errand.
what happens is that void that men and women still have after they have sex and they do all this other stuff, that void that they have is not for sex. It's for a return to their fathers, a return to real love, because the mothers tend to turn the boys and girls away from the father, and they create the mother create the daughters and the sons of her image, turning them away from the father, so it leaves a void. And rather than overcoming that void by forgiving their mothers for turning them away from the fathers, they look for outer things to make them feel better, men and women, and they never find complete fulfillment because that would never complete the void, the emptiness that they have. It just become addicted to the outer source, and they're never free. And if you notice, there's not one woman or man on the planet who have perfect peace because they've been trying to fulfill a emptiness, which is a return to the Father, with physical things, sex, drugs, money, housing, different things. And so that void you're talking about cannot be fulfilled with anything but a return to the Father. You do agree with that, right?
I'm going to quote Finding Nemo and say, you're really cute, but I have no idea what you're saying.
Amazing. I understand. When you talk about your book is about becoming boyfriend material. Tell me what that means and how do you become boyfriend material?
So I will say this, a minor correction on the research team. The Becoming Boyfriend Material is a free guide that I give. My book is actually on online dating. It's called How to Make Online Dating Suck Less. But regardless, we can still talk about becoming boyfriend material.
Okay.
I'm also going to quote Orion Taraban from his book, The Value of Others, because I think it makes a very complex situation like dating, like the sexual marketplace. And it makes it very simplistic, right? In a hyper simplistic way, just for teaching purposes. If men want Barbie, women want everything Ken comes with. If men want Barbie, women want everything Ken comes with. So if sex and beauty is what a man wants, commitment and resources is what a woman wants. So how do you get commitment and resources? Lifestyle. Because here's the one thing. Here's another thing. To want something, there's two parts to this. To want something is to desire it for yourself and because you lack it. So men, because to your point, most men would have sex with most women, and most women will not have sex with most men. Men, they are they lack sexual opportunity with beautiful women. So that's why they seek out sexual opportunity with beautiful women. That's why women, that's our chip to play.
Amazing.
Beauty and sex.
And so the women want money and the man wants sex.
So money is a power proxy. So not necessarily money. Now, money is just like beauty. The reason why men want beautiful women is because fertility, right? If a woman is young and beautiful, it's an easy metric to determine that she's probably healthy and can probably procreate. Money is also, just like beauty, an easy metric to use to determine if this man has resources and can provide and also have the intelligence to be able to provide for the baby I might be giving, right? It's all evolutionary. And so a man that is more well-liked and well-respected in his community, that family is probably getting fed first, right? And so that's why it's not necessarily money. A lot of the times it is money, but money is a factor of it, I should say. But it's lifestyle. Also access to lifestyle.
Amazing.
Access to, yes.
Do women want, because I notice there's like 50% of women are divorcing their husbands nowadays. Is it like 50? 70. Oh, 70% of women are divorcing their husbands nowadays. Do women want a family, or they want a man who is a real man that can guide them out of their hell, out of their misery? What do they want? Why is the divorce rate so high? If this thing is all about sex and want sex and that, why is the divorce rate with women so high today?
So I think the reason why, well, actually not even think, this is studied, is that the majority of women that are divorcing their men feel when you talk to them that they don't have a partner, they have a project.
But
they don't have a partner,
when you
they
say
have a
partner,
project.
you mean they don't have a husband? Their husband is not a real husband?
Their husband is not acting like a partner.
What do you mean by that? I don't know. What do you mean by acting like a partner? He shouldn't act like a businessman.
So I'm gonna quote Teal Swan when I say this. Women today are expected to act. Women today are expected to work as if they're not a parent, and parent as if they don't have work. Men's life, for the most part, hasn't really changed that much. They still go to work and they come home. Women are also expected to work, and they're expected to parent.
But the man doesn't want her to work. She want to work because her ego is not satisfied raising the man children, staying home and raising children. She want to go out and work so she could get the people at work and say, "Oh, you're such a hard worker. You're such a good worker." And so men don't want their wives to work. They'd rather that the wife stay home and raise his children, but her ego won't allow that. And then the man is too weak to make her stay home.
I wouldn't call that ego. I'd call that living in a capitalistic society and being able to not fall victim to getting on the wrong ship, right? So like, for example, if I'm reliant on you for your money because I don't make my own because I'm just raising your children, I have no safety net.
But you have him and he will provide for you.
We live in a capitalistic world. To expect women to take on that huge risk it had not been working. And if it had been working, we would have stayed there. But it wasn't working. And so women have to work now because we live in a capitalistic world. That's how that works.
No, they have to work because their egos, they're controlled by their ego. They're in competition with the man. They want to feel equal to the man.
Ego is the word I would use. I would literally use that as a safety net. I also would disagree with you and say I come across much more men that prefer their woman at least have ambition, drive, a job, because the reality is that people are not making, it's very rare to afford a family on one salary. And so to put all of that pressure on just the sole man is also debilitating.
But it's not pressure for a man to do that. It's only pressure for a woman. And so the woman feel pressure when she does it. So she think that she feel pressure when she does it, try to work and raise children. She think that the man is feeling what she's feeling, and he's not. He's just being
I think that's an opinion.
himself where she's under pressure.
Yeah, I think that's an opinion. I would disagree.
Really. I noticed that women today are always showing a lot of skin. They always like half dressed. They got a lot of skin showing. Where in the good old days when boys were boys and men were men, women didn't show a lot of skin. Their looks and their personality spoke for them. Why are women so insecure today that they're always half naked?
Oh, I hate the way you worded that question. So I think that back in the good old days, we used things like shame and guilt to trap women into wearing a certain type of clothing that make men and women feel a certain way. I think also to simply put the blame on women for showing skin without shining light to the fact that there is a demand for women to show the skin.
Right,
Like, there
but
wouldn't be a
knowing that
supply
the
if there
man
wasn't a
only
demand.
looking at her because she's naked, and he's looking at a woman that he know he's gonna make it turn into a slut, right? Because men are slut makers and women are sluts. Why are they naked like that, knowing that the only thing the man is thinking about is, I want to have sex with this slut? Why are they half naked if they are secure within themselves?
This is a very exhausting conversation. Listen, I think I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You gonna run?
I just don't have the mental strength to get into this conversation.
But why are
I
you
also
running?
would encourage you to not label women that way and men that way.
But
I
you
think
didn't
it's
tell me why they have to be, if they are secure within themselves, why are they always half naked?
because people mirror what's going on. If I'm at a beach and 99% of women are wearing a bikini, guess what I'm going to wear?
But they're
A
not at the
bikini.
beach. They wear it everywhere, every day, everywhere. They're always half naked.
Okay, well, indigenous people wore cloths. Were they sluts?
But why are women in America always half naked?
Why are indigenous people
is
wearing
that a
cloths,
sign of
loincloths
insecurity?
as clothes? I don't know.
Is that a
Because
sign
that's
of
style.
insecurity?
I don't tie articles of clothing to how one feels about themselves necessarily, especially when they all live in a culture where people dress certain ways. I think it says more about modeling and mirroring than it does about their insecurities. But I also have a feeling that no matter what I say is not going to change an opinion. So therefore, it's a fool's errand to even have this
Well,
conversation.
you're not trying to change. You're just teaching me. What are you telling these men? Why men go to women? Because it's odd to me.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't have these conversations with the men that I see. The
And
men
why
that I
not?
see,
That's a good. And why not? Why not have a real conversation with them?
because I have a beautiful opportunity, Jesse, that every day I get to work with men that want healing and they want to change and they want
But
to
the
grow
sex is not
better
healing.
themselves.
Sex is not
And
healing.
therefore, it's targeted on them. They want to, because they are the only person that they can control. So for them to come to me and ask me these types of questions about women, it's a fool's errand because I can't tell you how to control other people.
But can
Right?
you tell men about women though? Since you are a woman, can you tell them about women so that they can see how to deal with them in the right way? In a strong way rather than a weak way?
But tying shame and guilt to clothing and sluts is not a conversation I have with them. So, I think the assumption that these are the types of conversations that I have is exhausting.
One thing you do recommend for men is to have self-love. What is self-love?
So I love this question. That's a great question. Thank you. So what self-love is, and the way that I define it is, and the way that I really define enlightenment is that when your body and your mind start working together, and if you are a religious person or a spiritual person, spirit. So mind, body, spirit, they're all on the same team. So when one person talks to themselves negatively, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve love. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not, attractive enough. I'm not rich enough, right? And they talk negatively about themselves. Their cognitive bias is going to make sure that their actions align with that belief system, because what precedes action is a thought, and what precedes a thought is a belief system. So, what self love is changing the language that you say to yourself and about yourself so that your cognitive bias can shift. Now, we have something in our system called neuroplasticity. And when you say something long enough and loud enough, you believe it, right? And so, why not use that power for good? So, when you start saying the thing, even if you have to fake it till you make it in the beginning, when you actually start saying and believing that you are worth it, you are handsome enough, you are rich enough, you are good enough, your cognitive bias is going to help create those actions that are going to align with that. And women, as we all know, love a confident man. So when that self-love and that self-talk is reflective of that, this is when you are able to raise your frequency and invite women to mirror that same high level frequency to form a strong relationship.
I agree that women do love confident men that know, can lead and not follow. Do they also love weak men too, or just confident men?
I think your definition of strong and weak is very different than mine, so I don't know how to answer that.
Amazing. Do you have anger?
Do I have anger? Anger in what?
Do you have anger, period? Do you ever get angry? Do you have anger?
I think everyone does. I think anger is an emotion. Yes.
Right. It is an emotion, and you do have that, right?
Yes. I mean, I think it's an emotion that one does feel. Yes.
And the reason I ask it, I hear this a lot from men and women on my show and other places, that emotion that women have is very destructive. It destroys the children because she makes the children angry. It destroys the husband because he can't deal with that, because anger is evil and you can't trust an angry person. How should men deal with angry women?
I think boundaries is the word that comes to mind. If a woman has not been able to process her emotions and be able to manage and control her anger, because to eliminate anger is impossible, because as we agreed, that anger will happen with anyone and in any gender.
So you don't believe that you can overcome anger?
No, I believe that anger can be used for good and for evil.
But anger is evil. There's no good in anger.
Again,
Even God said, do not trust an angry person. An angry person is a murderer. So where is the good? And an angry person is evil. Where is the good in evil?
So again, the Bible is very black and white. I live in a world of color. This is why your definition of God and my definition of God.
No, I'm asking you, where is the good in anger? Because anger only destroys.
Anger and negative emotions, right? We're going to put negative emotions and anger in the same bucket for this example, okay?
Right.
They are also if there was zero purpose to it, on an evolutionary scale, it would have been weeded out. Why do we still have it? Why do we still have anxiety? Why do we still have anger? Why do we still have depression? Because those emotions can and are used as the gasoline to get us to another state. You want to talk to a person who doesn't change? Talk to a content person. Talk to a person who's comfy, cozy. That person's not changing. That person's not growing. Anger, anxiousness, anxiety, these things can catapult you to having the strength to make a change. So when you channel these emotions into that lens, great things can happen. But when you channel anger into a person that is not productive, whether that be a father, whether that be a mother, whether that be a child, husband, wife, that is when it is counterproductive and you are not using it for good. But I don't believe in good and evil. Again, just like I don't believe my definition of strong and weak is very different than yours. I think that also my definition of good and evil is different than yours.
But if you notice that people with anger, and you're right, all people have it, but some people are starting to overcome anger because they realize it's evil. People with anger, they are depressed, they worry, they are anxious, they are insecure, they live in their imagination, they worry, they are lonely, they are lost because they are angry. But those men and women who are overcoming anger, all those things that are children of anger, which are evil, tend to disappear. And that man or that woman who has overcome anger by forgiving his or her mother who made them angry because of her nature, and they love their father, they tend to not be depressed
Let
and
me get this straight. So
suicidal.
do you believe that anger just comes from the mother?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
see, I
then
don't agree with that, so
and
it's hard for me to
but it
answer.
comes from the mother, but there are men who are angry because the man that is angry has the nature of his mother. He becomes like what he hates. And that's why he has to go forgive her. And until he does that, every woman he gets involved with is mama, and he can't handle her, and the cycle repeats itself. Have you noticed that?
I've also noticed
No, have you noticed that
father
though?
having anger issues and the daughter having, I mean, that's where daddy issues come from.
But it
So
came from the
again,
mother though, not from the father.
I don't like how you're tying negative emotions or attributes to a gender.
But it's from the mother. It's not her, but it's that evil.
Based on Jesse, based off of what? Please present your research.
If you notice, women, unless they've overcome,
Don't notice women. I
if,
don't know what you mean.
if you notice that they're jealous of the father, they turn the children away from the father, and they're like controlling or too mothery because of their insecurity, the anger. They try to make the world rotate around them, which turn the boys and the girls away from their own identity, and they take on that mother's identity. And so as a result, men hate women and women hate men because they have no love. They only have the mother's evil. Have you noticed that?
I'm really sorry that the example of women in your life have led you to this
No, this is
conclusion.
all women, not just women. I knew you were going to say that too.
Is
But
this
it's
me?
all women.
Am I this?
I'm
Would
sorry?
you put me in this category?
When you say you have anger, so you are in that category. If you have anger,
But do you also have anger?
no. I
No.
had it, but I forgave my mother for turning me away from my father, as all women do. And when I forgave her, God forgave me and took away the anger. Now I have perfect peace.
At what point did my mother turn me away from my father? Can you give me an example?
When she really when you were born, and especially if you were close to your father, if you loved your father, your mother hated your father. And your mother, whether you were aware or not, turned you away from your father, and you're just like her. You're not even yourself. You are your mother, and that's why you think anger is good, because you have not forgiven her, because she couldn't help herself. And you have not forgiven her, so you and return to your father. So you think anger is good because you don't know what love is. Am I right about that?
Are you tired? Because the mental gymnastics that you have to do to get to this conclusion must be exhausting.
No. Listen, did you vote for the Great White Hope?
What's that?
I'm sorry?
The Great White Hope?
Yeah, did you vote for him?
Are you talking about Donald Trump?
Yes.
No, I did not vote for him.
They call him king.
I'm sure they do.
You know they had a king rally and all that around the country, right?
Yep.
Why
That
you
checks
did
out.
not vote for him? Why did you vote for him?
Oh boy. I think that having this conversation is also a fool's errand. But listen, I actually have to jump on another call. Our hour
Listen,
is
I
up.
got to put you on the hot seat and we're done. Let's do the hot seat real fast and we're done. I need you to answer these questions as quickly as possible, all right?
Okay.
The hot seat.
What is a man?
A man is, oh, goodness gracious. Nowadays, it's a hard one to explain. I would say someone who has male genitalia, but that's of course in question now. I guess someone who displays most masculine traits, maybe. I don't know.
Which is worse, abortion or slavery?
Slavery.
True or false? When she's crying, she's lying. When she's crying, she's lying. True or false?
I can't. That's so much. That's a complex answer. That's not a yes or no question.
No, it wasn't a yes or no. It was a true or false.
True or false? Yes. Yes. More complex than that answer. I can't. I don't know.
Do we need more white babies?
Oh God, no.
Is the earth flat or round?
Round.
Does a chicken have lips?
No.
Have you ever tasted something that was so good it made you want to slap your mama?
Not in the literal sense, but I'm down with that one. Yeah.
Is it wrong for a black man to love the Confederate flag?
No.
Does a bear shit in the woods?
Yes.
Is it ever okay to tell a woman she's fat?
No, not like that.
Sending your child to a public school today is child abuse. True or false?
False, depending on where they go instead.
Did you have fun?
I did have fun. There were parts.
Right on. Thank you for taking on the hot seat. Tell the folks how to get to your book, your website, and whatever you want to put out there.
Yeah, so I'm Jamie Date, Jamie Date on Instagram, all the socials. My website is jamiedatecoaching.com. I'm having a psilocybin mushroom retreat in October. We go down to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, get real deep with it, talk about vulnerability. And you can find all of my coaching services on my website. Thank you so much.
Oh, amazing. You're welcome. And thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget, you can support The Fallen State by becoming a member right there on YouTube, TheFallenState.tv, and support us on locals.com. Check out our merch, amazing merch, at jesseleepeterson.com/shop. jesseleepeterson.com/shop. What?
JesseLeePeterson.shop.
No, you're right. Wrong. JesseLeePeterson.shop. He black. Amazing. JesseLeePeterson.shop. And I have my own coffee. Jamie, I have my own coffee, and it is good. You got to try Punchy's coffee. Go to JesseLeePeterson.shop, all right? If you'd like to see more amazing Jess, contact my producer at JesseLeePeterson.com. Producer at The Fallen State. I've been talking all day, folks. Sorry about this. Producer at TheFallenState.tv. And let us hear from you. Like, follow, ring the bell, and let us hear from you. Jamie, thank you. That was fun. I learned a lot.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day, you guys.
You too
Thank
now.
you.
Bye.
Bye.